The following is a clip from a channel called Heathen Queen, where Egyptologist Dr. Kara Cooney explains how there is a great deal of evidence for the Exodus. Note, Dr. Cooney is not a Christian. She does not think anything close to a literal Exodus happened.
If we were going to take the Exodus as described as a historical event, what evidence would we expect to find in the textual sources and the material culture more generally? Do we have any such evidence?
Writ large, there is a great deal of evidence for the Exodus narrative in Egyptian data. Didn't expect me to say that, but the evidence is simply that if Pharaoh's army is failing and has, you can say, oh, the details are it's fallen into this sea, which however you want to define that sea, right? It actually has happened. It's true. Egypt's army is failing from Ramses III, the second half of Ramses III on. It is failing. And the king is indeed failing. They can't build anything. They're not able to invade anyone anymore. They're not able to bring in any fresh stone. They're reusing everything that they can. Tomb robbery is a constant. They're actually systematically going into the Valley of the Kings in Thebes to reuse all of the tombs of Amenhotep III, Ramses II, to recommodify these things to fund a new regime. That regime that's building at the end of the 20th dynasty is part Sea People's Libyan, part Egyptian. So you have a new immigrant community coming in, embedded with the military community of practice. Everything's up in the air. Everything's decentralized. So writ broadly, the failure of Pharaoh and the failure of his army it's there. It's perfect. I mean, the story couldn't line up more perfectly in terms of the absolute fall of power.
But really, like what Kara's saying is absolutely correct. Like, yeah, there's lots of evidence, but it's a very nuanced answer that she's giving. But people don't hear the nuance, right? All that's a soundbite that certain people will try to pull out, and it's frustrating that we have to deal with that sort of thing.
The nuanced view that Dr. Joshua Bowen is referring to is that Dr. Cooney thinks there is evidence for the Exodus, but there isn't evidence of a specifically Israelite people found within Egyptian archaeology. We shouldn't expect that, of course. Exodus 12:38 says a mixed multitude left Egypt. The type of evidence Dr. Cooney is referring to is called circumstantial evidence, which is evidence that tends to prove a fact by proving other events or circumstances which afford a basis for a reasonable inference of the occurrence of the fact at issue.
Given all the external and internal evidence, why do some skeptics still insist there is no evidence to conclude an Exodus and conquest event happened as the origin of the nation of Israel? Skeptics often highlight some of these facts and say these alone would not be enough to confirm an Exodus event, which is true. If we only had a few of these data points, the historical case for the Exodus would be insufficient. But what we actually have is an embarrassment of riches when it comes to evidence for the Exodus.